In today's video, we are continuing our MCU coverage on the channel. So this Jonathan Majors story to do with him still being Kang the Conqueror, Rama-Tut, Scarlet Cantorium, and a bunch of other Kang variants going forward in the MCU, because according to Kevin Feige, he is the villain of Phase 5, aka the Multiversal Saga. So it's taken an even crazier twist and turn. So a lot of reports have come out stating that they're going forward with Doctor Doom, which, if you've seen the ending of Loki Season 2, they're monitoring different Kangs, they've set up Rama-Tut, they literally spoke about the Ant-Man 3 scene in the quantum realm for a reason. Kang's not going anywhere, but this story keeps getting wilder and wilder. And we're not even talking about the court case, we're talking about how the alleged contract went down with Marvel and with Jonathan Majors. It's pretty damn wild. If it's true, it would explain why, if it goes bad for Jonathan Majors in court, obviously he loses the domestic violence case, maybe they may have to pivot away from it. But this story is so wild if it's true. So, yo, what is freaking good, YouTube? What's you here? If you are new around and make sure subscribe to never miss any of the Kaiju, Monsterverse, Marvel, DC, pop culture based content that I try to cover on a daily basis personally now. If you could subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on, and let me know, what do you want them to do with the story going forward, with the Loki, with Kang, and with Doctor Doom? Because as comic book fans, I know I say I'm not a comic book guy, but seriously, what I mean when I say it is, I have not read comics for the last 70 years. I have a basic knowledge of all the big stories to do with the Secret Wars and how it all goes down. But when I say that, I mean more like I'm not an expert. There's channels like Comics Explained, etc. if you want to know in-depth stuff. So hold your beer, lads, or hold your monster when I say I'm not a comic book guy. I still understand the stuff, for sure. Also, become a channel member for less than 99p. There's your boy Warstu, aka the Chosen One, aka War Drizzy, that you do appreciate the content. Also, if you could, check us out on Instagram at Warstu to see the beautiful face behind the beautiful face. And also, if you could, check us out on Twitter, WarstuG. I've got like 5 followers over there, aka x.com. You got more chance of interacting with me over there. So, I wasn't going to cover this story, but I do find it fascinating. As you guys know on the channel, I only talk about things that I find fascinating and also things that I think you guys would find interesting. So, as we know, there's been a lot of people talking. Jonathan Robertson said that she heard from a person that potentially they're pivoting away. And allegedly that fake report came out from the trade saying, yo, they spoke about Doctor Doom, but they're not going to do it. So, from the Weekly Planet's hot scoop or shoot of poop, Jonathan Majors had a contract clause stating that only he can play any of the Kang variants, which pretty damn wild if that's the case. But if that is the case, the contract would be, I'm not going to pretend I'm one of these YouTubers that's a lawyer. If he did anything in his personal life that could make the company look bad, it's kind of standard in most contracts nowadays that they can get rid of you instantly. If you do anything in your personal life, it could look bad on the company. So if he does lose his court case, they could scrap the whole contract if this is true. But this is wild. So they go over, there's a segment on this show where they go over stuff that could be true, where listeners send in rumors, if it's true, or if it's a hot scoop, or if it's not. Now, this is wild. Let's just go over it. Whilst working on the movie Devotion, I was friends with one of Jonathan Majors' people during our filming. Jonathan Majors closed the Kang deal. I remember asking the friend about it, and they shared some details, X numbers of movies, X numbers of dollars, etc. That's standard. When you become a Marvel actor, they do lock you in for quite a few movies, especially if you're going to be a pivotal role. That's why a lot of A-lister top-tier actors stay away from Marvel unless it's a cameo role. And more interesting, due to the nature of the character and the potential multiple versions, Jonathan Majors had a clause in his contract stating that only he could play any version of Kang. This would likely explain the rumors of swapping out Kang with Doom opposed to recasting. Now, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not going to pretend. I'm not one of these creators that pretends they're lawyers, but this is an insane clause if true, and we don't know how the court case is going to play out. Disney learned from the Johnny Depp scenario with Miss Hurt, where just because you get accused of something, you can't necessarily get fired instantly. Although Warner Bros. Didn't really do anything to Ezra Miller, so God knows what these Hollywood studios think, but this is insane. So if he does lose the case and is found guilty, if this is hypothetically true, that would be the case where Marvel could recast Kang. So this is interesting because no one factually has actually come out saying that Marvel was going to recast him. It's just they've come out and said, yo, they're going to completely scrap the whole idea, which it's very fascinating to me if this is the case. So let me know. Do you believe this? Could this be true? It is insane. So a lot of people at the moment are talking about Loki getting a season 3, but that can't be true because the whole ending was Loki was willing to sacrifice himself so his friends were safe and to give him a fighting chance against the oncoming multiversal war, which we know is coming, and we know Loki will be involved probably towards the end of the multiversal saga if the more reliable sources are true. But he didn't destroy the loom. He replaced the room, essentially, because the branches were still dying, and he held on to them, and he gave life to these branches again. So the ending was great, but Loki has to stay there. Otherwise, all the branches would die again. So he's essentially there giving them life, if you like. So in my videos, I tend to go over multiple stories. I'm not one of these people, respectfully, I can't make 5 videos that are 3 minutes long. I can't make a whole video about one subject. We like to go over multiple subjects. So Marvel Studios, specifically Kevin Feige, is coming under a lot of fire recently because of the female push in the MCU. Now, I'm neither here saying this is wrong or right, but now a new story is, we've already covered this before, but it's resurfaced again. Silver Surfer in Marvel's Fantastic Four MCU is reportedly a female. Now, I'm not saying this is wrong, I'm not saying this is right, because there has been instances where the Silver Surfer has actually been a female. And in this case, we've gone over this before, but we know the lead of that movie apparently is going to be Sue Storm, and that is why nobody wants to sign on to be Reed Richards. But Deadline said Pedro Pascal has confirmed to be signed nearly a week ago now, and no official news is coming out. Allegedly, they're filming in the UK. Now, it's cool if they film in the UK, because anything that's filmed at Pinewood Studios, I can get information about it quite easily that I shouldn't be able to get a hold of, because I know people that work at Pinewood Studios very, very well, and I can get hold of stuff. So Superman Legacy, Batman 2, pretty much anything that's filmed in the UK, I have people who can tell me what's going on. So when the scoopers start coming out with shizzle from the Batman 2, from Fantastic, basically anything that films in the UK, I know if scoopers are talking when it comes out. So according to the case, not actually come from Jeff Snyder, this has actually been going around for a while, but Jeff Snyder's like, yo, the reports are true, you can expect a female Silver Surfer. That's not a new report, to be honest. That's been going around for a while. And the whole Pedro Pascal being Mr. Fantastic, respectfully, Pedro Pascal is a TV actor. Now, I think Marvel do need to kind of spend less money when it comes to casting people, which is really going to go against everyone saying RDJ is back for Secret Wars, Scarlett Johansson. Even if I see people saying in the comments, oh, they can have lesser role, they can have less time on TV. You're not paying for how much work they do, you're paying for them as an actor. In Hollywood, especially these people in the Marvel MCU, they're not, even if they're on the screen for 1 minute, they're going to be getting over $20 million. And that's the issue with the Fantastic Four, is nobody wants a role because it's the agenda. It's not me saying this is what it's saying. The agenda is gender swapping roles is quite common nowadays in the MCU, but the actual role of who they're supposed to be casting in said movie, it's actually a variation of the Silver Surfer who was female anyway. So I don't really see much pushback from myself for this personally, but you're going to see certain YouTube channels going on about this female agenda pushing, but the variation of the Silver Surfer who it is anyway, it's Frankie, aka Nova, so it's a female variant of this character anyway, but it's the narrative these kind of people will push on it, going, oh, the Fantastic Four movie it's a full female movie. That's not what they're actually saying. And just because they potentially start filming very early next year, now the actor strike and writer strike's over, they can rewrite stuff and change stuff on the fly anyway. So it's going to be the Frankie Nova version who later becomes the Silver Surfer anyway. And that interpretation apparently is quite a popular one anyway. So you're going to see a lot of this female narrative being pushed now because obviously the Marvels did so bad and a lot of gender swapping arguments coming out. But it's a variant that essentially was female anyway. And the Marvels did so bad and it had nothing to do with the strikes going on at all. Because they're, Barbie and Oppenheimer did very well. Yes, they did get UK premieres, and it's funny when people said they had absolutely no marketing at all in sense of the actors in real life. I mean, people like to throw this Five Nights at Freddy did well for a horror movie. I think it did just over $260 million, but essentially it was down to the director and Marvel Studios and the writing. I don't personally blame the actors in the movie. For me, it was fine. The Marvels was a fine movie. When I say fine, I mean it was okay. I won't watch it again and stuff like that. People take what I say out of context. Like, yeah, but you said the Marvels was great. No, I said the Marvels was okay. It's, a family. It should have been marketed towards families. It was a popcorn movie. You watch it once and you forget about it. To be honest, it's like this. Oh my God, Thor 5 is being done. Well, Thor 3, aka Ragnarok, Thor Love and Thunder, they both made profits. Not much, but they made profits. So, of course, Chris Hemsworth will be in talks for Thor 5, but I'm not one of these channels who's going to make a whole video talking about it because we know what potentially could do. Chris Hemsworth he's had health worries in his life and he's getting towards the end of his career when it comes to Marvel. And he actually said he may step away from Hollywood for a while, kind of like other actors done, like RDJ kind of stepped away for a little while. He's done like different movies like Oppenheimer. Chris Hemsworth hasn't really done that much recently. The same with Chris Evans. He's kind of stepped away. So when the news came out that, oh my God, Chris Hemsworth's in talks. Of course he's in talks. He's not going to step away because he was kind of embarrassed by that movie. So obviously he's going to want to do a better version and get more towards the Infinity War Endgame God tier level. It is interesting how Taika Waititi really did hit with Thor Ragnarok is one of Marvel's best movies, in my opinion. But they completely missed with the same tone when it came to Thor Love and Thunder. They had Gore the God Killer. They could have... I mean, I know Sony owns the rights to the symbiotes, but they could have tied it to no God of the symbiotes, which is interesting. So, ThunderBolts could be a very good movie, but they've cast someone for Sentry. Sentry, to dumb it down, kind of like Marvel's version of Superman, if you like. So, a report came out recently that said, in Marvel's Thunderbolts, the Void is not just the embodiment of Bob Reynolds. Negative aspects of motion, it becomes an entire realm that the characters will be able to enter in the third act. I just wonder how they're going to depower Sentry and make it to the point where the Thunderbolts can take out Sentry. The dude is literally super... You should have got Henry Cavill. I posted this. Henry Cavill was down. You should have got Henry Cavill to be Marvel's Sentry, essentially. But people are like, oh, he's got no range. It's like... got no range. You can't say actor hasn't got a range in a specific role just because you haven't seen him done it. So how is, okay, I think the current roster is Ghost, Red Guardian, Yelena, the new Black Widow, Bucky, Taskmaster, and the fake Captain America that was in that TV show. How the freaking hell are they going to depower Sentry? Like, come on now. Sentry is like Superman level in terms of Marvel, so... how are they going to do this? Now, I know I troll quite a lot, but people that watch my videos generally get my sense of humor when it comes to what I tweet. So we have Sentry in the MCU, the dude that got killed by Negan on The Walking Dead. Yeah, he's a good actor. Yeah, he's not very well known. I'm just not on about his physique. I'm on about his presence. He ain't Superman. I get it. Sentry actually isn't Superman, but he basically is Marvel's Superman. And they could have went with... a better, I think Marvel, if Marvel do actually cast Steven as Sentry, that is a big L. If they cast Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, big L for the casting. I know they're going to go with lesser known actors, but Sentry could be one of the great Marvel characters in the MCU. And people, big L, why isn't Henry Cavill going to be him? I get it, he's a decent actor. But you could have casted a lot of other people. You went with Steven from The Walking Dead. Really? I mean, I'm not saying you have to cast someone that's massively hench because we know how Hollywood works. They all go on the basic and blow up. No, they don't. They're all not. Generally speaking, in Hollywood, they all go on. I'm going to bleep these words anyway because you two don't like it. They go on some kind of basic to get big in the space of 3 to 6 months because naturally you'd have to train for a few years to get that kind of size. I don't care what anybody says. If you work out, you know exactly how it works. You really do. You ain't You ain't putting on 50 pounds of muscle in a year just because you've got a celebrity trainer. But let me know, who should they cast for Sentry? What do you think of a plot for the Thunderbolts? The Thunderbolts is essentially gonna be the Suicide Squad movie. Kind of, in a way. And that was casted out there. It's interesting because we've got Captain America, Thor. Nobody cares because he's not really Captain America. He's kind of just cosplaying Captain America because he hasn't taken the serum. He's literally got he's just Falcon at the end of the day. And Falcon was loved, to be fair. Falcon was quite well liked as a character. But you make someone Captain America, he doesn't have superpowers. Captain America doesn't have to have superpowers. He doesn't. Well, okay, then why did Steve Rogers, Chris Evans version have? It's just, Marvel's in a weird place at the moment. I'm not saying everything has to connect to the multiversal storyline, but I am saying everything has to connect to the multiversal storyline. So, yeah, we've gone over a bunch of stories to do with the MCU going forward. I hope some of them are true. I really hope Steven isn't, but someone came out and was like, yeah, basically he told me that he's done a costume fitting and yeah, he's going to be Sentry, which it's wild. And then the brief plot we went over for the Thunderbolts, but I'm thinking, how are you going to how are these people with non-powers going to depower Sentry? What's the kryptonite? You're going to have to use some kind of, you're going to really have to have a massive MacGuffin in that movie. And yeah, the information that came out is interesting. I'm not going to actually talk about the source anymore because that Pacific source, I just don't believe him, but I think it's kind of interesting. Although Boss Logic did do a pretty cool fan art for Steven as Sentry. There is much better cast out people out there that could have played Sentry. So I'm gonna use some different fan art when it comes to the thumbnail. So like always, guys, check us out on Instagram at Warstu. Check us out on Twitter, Warstu G. And I'll catch you in another video, guys, very soon. Catch you later.